old watchtower at the top of that cliff. Looks like the path up broke a long time ago. I'm gonna have to climb. Useful for making dyes. There we go. Made it. And there's another one of those devices. lens. Guess I'll figure out what to do with it later. Been made. All right, next idea. Get Ulvin to blow the whistle, then Wadis to Baronite.
Almost ready to go?
Picked up the bristleback trail. Looks like they stampeded out of
The mine? How could...
I'm not sure, but Ulvin's...
For the love of Dawn, I told... Those tunnels, they run for miles underground, even... No, you don't think...
That Ulvin's blasting opened up a passage.
Perhaps. If this is true, an inquiry. So...
All right, I'll keep... I need to go.
Of course.
If I'm gonna find out where the bristlebacks came from, I need to head further west. Another reason to get the embassy going?
Even the savior.
Come to revel in some strike, sister?
I was just,
First timer, huh? Don't, well, aren't you in luck then? I got an extra set, a Tanakh original. Sit. I'll give you something special if you want. let's start off simple. The Tanakh like to say that Machine Strike is a game of pure strategy. We each get a set of pieces. Each piece represents a kind of machine, and each machine is worth a different number of victory points. And to win the game, you'll need to gain 7 victory points by destroying the opponent's machines. It can be tricky remembering the details of every machine, so we use these notes to keep track of them. You see that number on the top right corner? That there is how many victory points you'll get for destroying that machine. Notes also tell you how far a piece can move, how powerful their attacks are, the distance they can strike from, and of course, their health. Okay, that's enough for now. Let's just play. I'll explain the rest as we go. I own the board, so I get to choose who goes first. Since this is your first time, I'll let you go. Usually you get to choose which pieces to set on the board, but this will do for now. Pick up that machine piece to your right, and move it forward. And remember, each machine can only move a certain distance. Take a look at your notes if you need a reminder. Easy enough, huh? Now, you get to move 2 machines each round. Perfect. There's not much else to do for now, so just end your... We're forging onwards. Let me move my pieces here. And we're back to you. This time, why don't you try attacking one of my pieces? Try with that machine on your right first. Now move the piece close enough to attack one of my machines. When performing an attack, you'll be testing your machine's combat power against the opponent's. A machine's combat power is a combination of the terrain your machine is standing on and its own attack power. This board only has grassland terrain, which has no effect on a machine's combat power. And your current machine has 2 points of attack power. So in total, your machine's combat power equals 2 points. Since my machine isn't the one attacking, it has 0 points of attack power. And just like your machine, it's not affected by grassland terrain. So right now, the difference in combat power between the 2 machines is 2 points. This means your machine can do 2 points of damage to my machine. Did you get all that? Knew you were a smart one. Finish up by attacking my machine. Not pulling any punches, huh? Now grab that second machine of yours. See how your machine can't move close enough to attack mine? You can make your machine sprint. That lets it move 1 space further. Try it out. Downside to sprinting is that your machine can no longer attack. Now, some players like to take a risk and overcharge their machine in cases like this. Overcharging lets you attack after a sprint, but it will damage your machine's health by 2 points. So use at your own discretion. Let's try doing that now so you can see what I mean. That's about it for your turn then. Now, I'll let you in on a neat trick. That machine of yours, the one closest to me, grab a hold of it. Same as in the wilds, machines have both armored points and weak points. You can see them marked on the pieces. Blue shows where their armor is thickest. Hit them there and you'll do some damage, but not a lot. Now, red shows the machine's weak points. Hit those and you'll deal a mighty blow. Here, let me show you. Rotate that piece so your machine faces mine. Now let that machine have it. Off the board she goes, and there's your first victory points. You don't have 7 of them yet, so let's keep going. Your machine attacked mine, but hasn't moved yet. Go ahead and move downwards towards my remaining piece. You've already attacked a machine and moved your piece. But if you overcharge your machine, you can attack a second time. And by the look of your machine's health, you'd be sacrificing your piece to defeat mine. But sometimes that can be a good thing. Overcharge your machine to attack mine a second time, and I'll show you what I mean. Ain't that a thrill? Now, because your machine was knocked out at the same time as mine, we both get the victory points our machines are worth. Good news is, since you're the one attacking, you're gonna receive your victory points before I do. Which means you can reach the coveted 7 victory points first. That's why sometimes losing a piece can be the best way to end a game in your favor. Now, you'll notice you didn't get quite up to 7 victory points this time, but you did destroy all my pieces. That means you're the winner! That wasn't so hard, was it? Just remember to always check for the best terrain to attack from. You'd be surprised the advantage you can gain over an opponent like that. I know it saved my behind in a game or two.
I'll try and remember that.
Oh, before I forget, these are all my spare pieces. I want the Savior of Meridian to have them. It's a small set to be sure, but it should be enough to get you in on any strike games you find out there. You might even fancy looking out for them strike carvers. They've got all kinds of unique pieces that can turn a game in your favor, though they'll need the right materials to craft you one. Or you might find them in the wilds if you're lucky. You know, I've lost my fair share of pieces after a night of machine hunting or brew hopping. No need to thank me. Always a pleasure to help out new strike players. Now, if you feel like playing a real game, I've got plenty of other boards. I could even teach you a few more tricks if you're up for it.
Thanks. I'll think about it.
I knew I'd make a strike player out of you yet. How about this time I tell you how to use a board's terrain to your advantage? This one's got all the different terrains you can encounter in a game of Strike. Knowing when and how to use them can mean the difference between victory and defeat. Terrain mainly affects your machine's as you know, you compare its combat. The higher your machine's so finding the right terrain is here, I'll show you. Grab that piece to your left and move to attack my machines. Now let's take a look at your machine's combat power. Combat power is the sum of a machine's attack power and the value of the terrain it's standing on. Since your machine is attacking, it's using its 2 points of attack power. It's also standing on 4. Add those together, and my machine is standing on grassland. It's also not attacking, so my combat power, this means your machine, go ahead and test it out. There you go. Now, choosing the right terrain doesn't just improve, it can also help defend your machine. Grab your other piece and place it in front of. Since your machine is attacking, it's using its 2 points of attack power. It's standing on grassland terrain. This terrain has a value of 0. This means your machine's combat power adds up to 2 points. My machine can't use their attack powers since they're defending their position. But they have the higher ground. They're standing on forest terrain, which is worth 1 point. This means my combat power adds up to 1 point. Now, the front of my machine is colored blue. This means that the spot you're about to attack has armor protecting it, which means my machine gets an extra point, giving it a total of 2 combat power points. If we compare the combat power of both machines, you'll see that you won't be able to do any damage. Whenever you're unable to top an opponent's combat power, you can still choose to attack and break their machine's defenses instead. Go ahead, try it out and see what happens. Ha, see? When you break a machine's defenses, you can knock it backwards. Sure, both our machines will receive 1 point of damage, but knocking my machine off that terrain makes it more vulnerable to attacks. Not only that, if my machine had been blocked from moving backwards, it would have received an extra point of damage. And if my machine had been blocked by another one of my pieces, that machine would have received damage as well. That's why breaking a machine's defenses is a great way to deal damage to several pieces at once. Useful, right? Okay, now go ahead and end your turn. There's still one more thing I want to show you. All right, as we've seen, the higher the terrain, the more it'll add to your machine's combat power. However, there are 2 other terrains that work a little differently. This is what we call a chasm. Only flying machines can be placed on those. But it'll take away 2 combat points if you do, so be wary. This is marsh terrain. Landing on it will take away 1 combat power point from most machines. It'll also keep your machine from moving for the rest of the turn. Here, let me show you. Grab that machine on your left. See? All you can do now is wait for your next turn to move again. Or you can overcharge your machine to get out of there. You can still attack any nearby enemies so you're not completely helpless. Well, I think that's enough yammering from me for now. Promise it'll all come in handy next time you play. Here for more tips? Why don't I tell you a bit more about the pieces we used to play? In a normal game, you get to choose which machines you place on the board. Each one is worth a certain number of setup points, and you can spend up to 10 assembling your army. Knowing what each machine brings to the game and building an army that matches your strategy is the key to becoming a machine strike master. When assembling your army, there are a few things to keep in mind. First and foremost, you can never have more than 4 of the same machine on the board at the same time. With that in mind, most players would choose machines based on how far they can move or how much attack power they have. But a real strike player will be looking at a machine's type and skills. Let's take a quick look, shall we? Pick up that machine on your left. All right, let's talk about the different ways in which a machine attacks its opponents. In other words, its machine type. If you look at your notes, you'll see this machine here is a melee type. You can also tell by the shape of the base the piece stands on. A melee type machine attacks the first enemy within range, and no one else. We've seen this plenty of times, so just move that piece forward so I can show you some more stuff. Great, now grab your other machine. Looks like we've got ourselves a gunner type machine here. This means they'll only hit the farthest enemy in their attack range. Let's move that machine forward and end your turn so we can... Let's go with... This is a ram type machine. Attack an enemy with it and it'll push the piece backwards. Like this. See, now my machine has taken over your machine spot on... This is a great way to tame your opponent if they have that. Looks like we have one more piece to look at. Now this is a beauty of a piece. A dash type machine. When it attacks, it'll move to the end of its attack range and damage every machine in its path, including your own. So make sure you take a good look at the board before you send it off to the races. You should also make sure it's able to finish its attack on an empty spot. Otherwise, you won't be able to attack at all. Here, I'll show you. Look, it even rotated your piece. A nifty little piece you'll definitely want in your set. If you look at your notes, you'll notice this particular machine has one of the skills I mentioned before. There's quite a few of those, and we haven't even looked at all the machine types yet. But I'm pretty sure you've got more important things to do, so I made you a list. It's got all the tips and tricks we talked about, too. I think that about does it for now, so if you... This is gonna be fun. Okay, let's see. You're up, Red. Time to get serious. I got a tough fight ahead of me. Board's all yours. You got me. Fair and square. Good luck. Time to make my move. Your turn. I'm up. Your move, Red. One less piece on the board. My turn. That's it for me. hoping you wouldn't do that. Knocked right off the board. That was brutal. You're up, Red. You got me down to one piece. I am impressed. Looks like I lost. Let's play. Your move, Red. Time to get serious. That's it for me. My turn. Your turn. Board's all yours. Well, that's done now. I'm up. Board's all yours. Time to make my move. Off the board it goes. You're up, Red. Well, that's done now. Okay, let's see. Knocked right off the board. Off the board it goes. My turn. That's it for me. Time to get serious. Your turn. That was brutal. Time to make my move. Your move, Red. A single machine left? That ain't good. I'm up. Oh, I won! Probably shouldn't sound so surprised, huh? Here we go. My turn. You're up, Red. That was a surprise. One less piece on the board. That's it for me. Off the board it goes. Okay, let's see. Well, that's done now. Your turn. That was brutal. Time to get serious. Knocked right off the board. That one hurt. One less piece on the board. Now that was a game, even if I lost. Let's do this. Time to make my move. Board's all yours. One less piece on the board. Ah, off the board it goes. That was brutal. Now that was a smart move. Knocked right off the board. You have have to admit, that was impressive. Your move, Red. Oh, seriously? Well, that's done now. Well, that's done now. You're up, Red. Knocked right off the board. I'm up. Your move, Red. You're just hammering down on my pieces now. Well, spark my forge. You have beaten me on every one of my boards. Now that deserves a prize, I say. Come back anytime, Red.
I knew you couldn't resist some good company. What? Come for that beer after. Get a pint and wasn't expecting you to.
Since when do I do with...
Ha! There's that fire and spit.
Fire and spit.
That's a blast from the bellows. Won't fix the forge, but at least I can forget about my troubles for a while.
Like what?
Take your pick. We got bodies to bury from the bristlebacks, the work stoppage, Olvin grating the gears about his concession decree. Hey! Weapons off the table! Ah, don't listen to me. Nothing a cold brew and knocking some heads together.
So the bristleback...
You're a pig. Blasted things, those bristlebacks. They just showed up one day, rampaging around, lost some good people. But bless the bellows, you cleared them out. He'll drag his feet on getting this place run. But sooner or later...
But how could bristlebacks and...
2 words. Concession decree. Olvind has taken to blaming the car. He's hoping to dig up enough old resentment. Right going until the This is just his latest. He's been trying to rile up the workers since...
About that. I think...
Now there's a spark that could light a fire.
I'm working on it.
By the forge. Grab my...
I thought you'd be back in...
Well, after the big battle at but realized it was run. Heard about the rebuilding out at Barren Light. Figured they'd been scraping by ever since.
You could always leave.
And go back east? Nah. Besides, someone's got to be a squeak.
So about...
Around here, everything's about...
How'd he end up in charge?
He got here early, like he knew rebuilding Barren Light would need... So he jangled purses all over Main, getting investors to front claims on anything is. All the bankers back home and the Sun King can revoke those. That's why he's desperate for the magistrate to sign up.
This concession decree.
It's pig diddle, that's what.
A writ that would put all Osram claims in the Daunt under... even though they're on Karja land. It would mean that any stone and timber claims couldn't be... No more risk, no more hesitation for investors back in the claim to pour in the shards and expand... And since Olvind has a stake, it would make him richer than a scrapper in a... Not to mention Chainscrape would become an Osram municipality. So he could buy enough votes to call himself an elderman. He's a sly old badger. Figures if he keeps up the pressure, eventually...
Well, I have to be going.
Anytime, Flame.
Ah, there. I happened to receive another. He was pushy, but I stood my...
I'm listening.
When I made his meal. Instead of 2!
I think I have everything you asked for.
Then just as you have inspired me, let us see...
Wow. Mildif, that was inspired.
Next time you want the best provisions, you know where to find me. Your next order of any dish will be on the house.
Thanks. And don't forget to stand up for yourself.
Funny you should say that. As it happens, I'm already cooking up my next portion of resistance. Hope to see you again.
I'm drunk, you!
It might be a good idea to stock up on some food before I head back out. See what else.
Keep you going on your travel.
Still here.
I cleared out all the bristle...
Oh, you did?
Now that you've recovered from your shock.
Oh, there. Not so fast. I'll have to send someone out to confirm. Shouldn't take more.
No.
These are innocent Osram lives.
Either you do it now...
Ah, I knew you could do it! Friends, gather. The savior of Meridian has done it again. You.
What?
Sound the whistle. Chainscrape is open for business!
Terrific. Yay.
And Ulvund has agreed to personally pay every worker their lost wages.
Yeah!
That's more like it!
Yeah! Woo!
Haha!
Yeah! Yeah!
Don't you have an embassy to get to?
Yeah, I guess I do. Well, the chain scrape's back to work. Merchants should be open to trade. I should see if they have anything useful before I send Wadis off to Barrenlight.
Ulvund.
Brought out only the good stuff for you, Red. Seeing as you got that whistle blowing.
Hey, I've been waiting to get my lucky hammer fixed for days.
You haven't done anything useful like getting rid of any bristlebacks, though, have you? Take your time. I promise you won't be disappointed. Come back anytime.
Now can I get this fixed?
I can fix your tools. Afraid there's no fixing you.
Must be someone around here worth talking to. Don't. You think I've forgotten? I never forget. I think.
The way to Barrenlight is clear. Get moving.
You're not errand vanguardsman. I will move only when the captain
When
says...
I've cleared out all the bristlebacks, which I have. Captain's orders.
So they're okay.
Banged up, but breathing. And waiting up ahead for you.
But I was supposed to have 3 escorts.
I'm off to Barrenlight, Wadis. Like Aloy said, captain's orders. You can stay here.
Abandoned to the riffraff? I think not.
Guess you're coming with me then. See you there, Aloy.
Well, now that that's done, the embassy can finally get underway. If I can get through it, I'll be able to track down Silence. Hades. Maybe even a Gaia backup. Guess I could head straight for Barren Light. Or poke around the Daunt some more first.
Up there in life. I'll bet you 10 shots they don't have it. How could there be an underground city in the desert?
Aloy, another round here. Heard you've been busy. As for me,
Is there something else?
well, things aren't as bad since you. But we still got. If you don't put that down, I'll come over anyway. To come all this way and
Shadow Carja refugees.
looking for a new home, I gather. And therein lies a Stormbird crashed up on the cliff. And Talon Cleanbrokers had his eye on the salvage ever since. But the refugees have barred mustn't interrupt their sun-scorched ritual. Something about.
Huh.
Yeah, well, these particular. But overall, they're peaceful. Not that it matters to Talon. He'll crack some. Maybe you could swing.
What else can you tell me about the
Well, they don't call themselves Shadow. At least, not anymore. But whatever side of the sun they're on, they're peaceful through and through. Don't seem to want for nothing except a place to live.
So they're just camped outside by blocking entry to a wrecked store.
Don't rightly know. Should they ever wise up and salvage it, a Stormbird heart is worth a lot. And if they get there first, then by Ostrom law, not that Tolan Cleanbrokers ever lost sleep over it.
Who is this Talon?
Just some chuff-huffing pondsman. Lived in chain scrape since there was. He and Ulvin go back a ways. Like a pair of.
So Talon works for Ulvin?
Ha! Ulvin might think so. And he ain't the type to let a few refugees get.
Well, if I'm up that way, I'll talk to the refugee.
Much appreciated. They have it rough. Don't need Talon.
Petra said Talon has a shop here in Chainscrape. I could have a word with him first.
I'm sorry, I'll be right with you. Okay, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm saying it's overkill.
It's a weapon. Kill is the point.
Not if it blows the user's arm off. Oh, just stop talking. Where are we? Ah! So, you look like someone.
Actually,
But you're just nuts! I am with a customer!
I'm not a customer.
I got it. Triple the powder. It'll blow a Strider sky high. Ba-boom. One-shot kill. Guaranteed.
Maybe I am.
Then you are in the right. How would you like to be the proud owner of the world's first machine and
Explosive, done in one, machine wrecking.
yet perfectly safe javelin thrower?
Are you two from?
Nah, the dad sent us out west in search.
Sounds like you had other ideas.
Let's just say that opening isn't how I want to make.
So she's
My apprentice, and there was an incident
involving.
Ba-boom.
and Dad's precious homebrew.
Huh. Tell me more about.
Saw a scroll when I was a kid by some Karja scholar who wandered out west. Had a scary drawing of a Tenakth warrior hunting with a kind of javelin thrower. Effective? Yes. Basic? Undoubtedly. But Coming out here made me and I'm on the brink.
Whereas I will
I can use machine parts to enhance the user's throw, increase. Well, Boomer here is adamant that, namely with explosive
boomsticks.
Why not?
That. I need the parts to make the first. Well, for starters,
Charger horns.
and yeah, that. Otherwise, they broke. But the real innovation, keep it to yourself.
There's a mean one east of here.
Boomer, you get him for me. It's yours.
You have a deal.
Was I that annoying when I was a kid?
Why else would one leave the glory of Main Street? Boredom. Nothing interesting happens in Claim anymore.
No, it's you. The machine hunter that bailed out the Karja.
Never heard it put that way before.
What do you want?
Heard you've been hassling refugees up by the cliffs.
Yeah, well, you heard wrong. There's salvage up there. A Stormbird. Nailed him myself with a harpoon here in town. Not an easy shot if I do say so myself. It clipped its wing, and it crashed into the old tower up there. Killed it quick. Yeah, so if anyone's hassling anyone, it's the Shadow Karja filth that's blocking the way up to my claim.
And you're ready to crack some skulls to get to it?
No need. It's a raggedy bunch. Probably all starved before I have to lift a finger.
We'll see about that.
Oh yeah, we will, won't we? Now shop's closed to Karja lovers. On your blasted way.